So there's this vegan place.
You're gonna tell them where it's at now? You got this? All right,
tell me. Vegan place, and it's on the side of town. You go down a side street. Make sure you go left, not on 3rd Street, but THIRD. It's 2 different streets. It's very confusing, I know, but it's a little niche market. It's in the back, and if you look, like there's a guy in front, and he'll grant you 3 wishes. Don't go inside the building. Go with the guy that grants you 3 wishes. And if you ask him specifically to take his pants off, as soon as he lowers his pants, you will see the best vegan shop in all of downtown LA. It's really amazing. You should try it, actually.
So I want. He has to pull his trousers down.
Yeah, he pulls his trousers down, like really slowly, almost sexually, and like so it like opens up, and it's like the gates of heaven. It's like the gates of heaven.
That's fantastic.
And inside the gates of heaven.
Have you been to the one over to the right of 3rd?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah. No, where's that one?
Well, you go down to the right, and then you make a turn into this corridor.
Okay.
And it takes you down into this long basement.
Yeah.
You enter the mouth of a demon.
Okay.
And
the demon.
He takes you to a new portal, and you go around the spiral staircase.
Yeah, the spiral staircase.
And right there to the far left of the gates of hell.
Yeah.
Best vegan place.
Right on the far. You know what? I always stop right at the gates of hell and never go past it.
Oh, dude, it's right there, just to the left side of the gates of hell, dude. And, oh my God, fantastic.
Well, I've been in the gates of hell, and if you talk to the demon at the front gate, and he has a hollowness in his eyes, and it's meant to look deep into your soul and almost rip out every love and hope in your body. And in that moment of pure bliss, when ecstasy leaves you, is the best vegan restaurant I've seen this side of LA. How many weeks has it been?
Oh, too long, dude. I'm so,
what
life.
I know we had 3 bands in particular about 2 weeks ago we were absolutely excited about, and we'll have to return to them someday, but luckily...
And then the 3 before that were excellent, too.
I do think we're going to have all classic albums this week, basically, at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to start with Dookie.
Yeah.
And Dookie is extremely... I guess the nicest word for it is consistent. It is... like
for 1994, absolutely.
Like, there's some songs that I swear to God, I could just move lyrics around, and it would be the... And Trey, Trey's just... And Trey always does have a pretty standardized beat structure he goes by, but man, you can tell they said, like, that thing you did, keep doing that.
We like that.
And Trey, Trey's just like, oh, cool, all right.
No, we're having fun, yo.
This is fantastic. I'm so happy. It holds 193 of the 500 greatest albums on Rolling Stone's all-time list, and that's honestly, dude. Okay, so I remember when American Idiot, of course, and what was that one that came after
21st Century Breakdown,
and I remember all these albums having a lot of hits, and I didn't remember any album before that doing that. But this album
totally did it.
I didn't even notice it, man.
Welcome to Paradise, When I Come Around, Basket Case, She,
and Longview. This album is loaded, and it was just such a good year for them. I mean, they obviously picked Basket Case as their flagship song for one main reason. It sounds more polished than any other song on the album. If you know anything about this album, it's the one you have the hardest time understanding him on.
It was the time for that. That's what was good.
I mean, When I Come Around was also a really big hit.
I got a funny story that I heard from I was listening to the NoFX reading of their book.
Yeah.
And they have this funny story of I think it was Smelly or Stinky or whatever, the drummer. Him and Courtney Love kidnapped Billy Joel Armstrong.
Courtney Love.
And something about getting I think it was heroin balloons in front of Rolling Stones magazine and shit like that.
I mean, Billy Joe Armstrong, if you ever again going back to the Cut You Up DVD, and it really gave a good personality look at Billy. I mean, this was a time where Warning had just blown up, and he is God of the world. He's betting these kids in this band who are on tour with them, who are really talented. He's betting them to do just the stupidest things because he knows they're broke and they live in a van and they're on tour and they have no money. So he can just say, hey, let me burn a brand in your ass.
Wait.
this up as much as I can. Who's gonna get branded?
You know, hey, let me burn a brand in your ass with a pool cue.
Oh, dude, that shit was...
Get branded right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't hurt me.
What? Chris, you're not gonna really brand your ass, are you? Don't talk him out of that.
What are you gonna do? The king of punk rock is telling you to brand your ass with a pool cue. You do it.
Yeah, he's just betting people to like do kickflips with no shoes, just hoping like they'll like mess up their feet. And like, hey man, you know, oh he bet one of them to drink bird shit.
And a bird flew by and shit in his drink and on the lip of his drink. Like, oh God, this bird shit all over my shit. So I pulled it upon myself to pull out $40, slam it on the table, and say, go.
A bird shit in a glass of orange juice of one of the guys from Cut You Up. Mike bet the guy to just drink the glass down and gave him money for it. And he did. He drank it.
He's got it down the whole drink. There it is, right there. Look at that turd in there, dude.
No way.
And he got the money for it. This was their first big album. Like you see the interviews, like I think we were watching one earlier, and like they're having these. They're not as good at interviews as they are now. Like nowadays, you interview Billy, and he like has a million artsy things to say.
Oh, dude, he's in his own world, bro.
And I like that we picked this next album because it does fall in line around the same time period as we were talking about with I mean, yeah, it was like later, but I mean this whole generation together, and that's Blink.
Like, wasn't this the first album that Travis Barker was fully involved in?
Sort of, yeah.
Beginning?
I mean, it's Travis did record all the songs on Enema of the State, but because he joined really close to the time before they made that album. Scott, you know, they're on tour with Scott. Scott has family problems or drinking problems. There's a million stories with it. But they're on tour with the Aquabats. Travis fills in. And, I mean, first off, he fills in, so he's not really familiar with what's going on anyway. It's not like he had like a long...
Nah, but he's Travis Barker.
He's Travis Barker, so he's fine. He fills in for Scott while he's out, and naturally Blink just goes, oh, will you just like be our drummer now? And like Blink is the definition of capitalists in pop punk, man. Like they are.
Oh yeah, Tom. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna get the dude from what is it, Alkaline Trio?
Alkaline
Trio guy. And we're gonna dress him up just like you.
But yeah, I mean, this was obviously back when Blink was still the main trio we all know and love, and like you had this album that was like, and I call it a middle child because like you have the angstiness and the darkness of Blink's self-titled, and you have the very childishness of
Enema, yeah.
Yeah. So this one fell right in the middle because they're still singing about childish shit.
They're still singing about, you know, bitching about their parents. You know,
they're obviously like
girl songs.
We're getting to our mid-20s now. Like it's, but it worked. I don't know why we like.
You make me feel like it's rain.
You know.
And First Date was the video that really, like, you know, Tom's got the mustache and he called himself Boomer. And if you watch the Urethra Chronicles Part 2, which was the second DVD following that album, first one covered, again, Enema, he talks about how, like, that's not a character. I'm just extremely drunk. And when I'm extremely drunk, I'm Boomer. So, like, that whole time, he was just a mess on set, you know.
He just sits there and strums down a lot, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, dude, his hand moves. Like, it looks tiring.
Yeah. So you had the First Date video set in the 70s with the jokes and stuff, you know.
Yeah, that was funny.
The girl flying off the bicycle and stuff, and, like, they're smoking weed, getting their asses smacked by, like, some dude at the water park. But then you had, so the next video was Rock Show. And Rock Show, they pulled this, like, the studio gave us money, and we're not going to use it for a video. We're going to just give it to people. It's like, well, you're using it for a video right now. I'm watching you. This is the video. You know, like, I loved it for what it was, man. But I always saw the game Blink was playing. Blink is, like I said, they're the most capitalistic band that everyone has always, like, kind of never put enough thought into to realize just... I mean, if you look at Tom, he's got so many LLCs. These guys are business people. Travis Barker had his businesses way before Blink started.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You had Tom had Macbeth. Yeah, Atticus.
Atticus.
Like you had, like these guys are businessmen.
The DeLong special.
Yeah, the guitar with a single pickup or whatever. Yeah. So the third video was, Stay Together for the Kids, and that's where it really got angsty. That was the whole, parents got divorced thing.
Yeah.
But then you had like the heavy chorus where like the double bass drum, where like it's just Travis just doing this mechanical double bass, Tom singing as high as possible. And I think they actually said they had to delay the music video. It was originally going to like have a building being destroyed by like a wrecking ball, like an actual building.
I thought it did.
No, it's like a house. They're in a house.
Oh,
it's falling down around them. But they had to like change that idea up a bit because 9/11 happened.
Oh.
So, and they were right about to like, they had just shot the video and 9/11 happened. They said it was like days after.
Oh, damn.
And they were like, Al-Qaeda ruining it. It gets a little darker, and that's when you start seeing the Boxcar Racer feel to it.
Yeah. Was Boxcar around the same time period?
It was. I can't remember if it was like right after it or even during it, but I know for a fact I was in high school watching the video for Boxcar Racer. I mean, Tom was wearing the same clothes, acting the same way, and then Travis was there.
Wanted to do Tom stuff.
Well, Tom had a second guitarist in that band, and I thought that was like a really interesting thing because he'd always been a single guitarist. I'm like, what's that like? Like now you have to work with another guitarist.
He had another guitarist with Angels and Airwaves though too.
Yeah. Well, that was much later.
Yeah,
Angels and Airwaves came. I remember when it came out, he was like so obsessed with the idea. He was like, it's like U2 in space. I was like, okay, like I don't know what the hell that means.
He really wants to be in space, man.
Yeah, and he goes for that spacey sound, very reverberated, a lot of delay. He says he's what he calls it is he's trying to build a world, and I'm like, all right, you do you, Tom. Tom is out there, but that's what makes him so awesome. It's what makes any band really good. Like every show, we always talk about just how off the people are in the band, and it's like, yeah, that's why their music is amazing.
Yeah.
Normal people do not make amazing music.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to have a stable conversation with like, any great musician. They're either a narcissist or they're already crazy before they even ever went into being a musician. But yeah, 12 tracks all the way through. When it came out, there was multiple versions. I really like the lights on the front were different, right? It was like one was red, yellow, something. The other one was like blue, yellow. And
combo.
Yeah, and then they would have different hidden tracks on each album. Yeah. So you'd have the Grandpa fucking song, or you'd have
when you fuck Grandpa.
When you fucked Grandpa, did he tell you that he loved you?
Stuff like that. Which silly songs. They went on tour around that time. It was probably actually the biggest tour of my young life, and that was the Pop Punk Disaster tour. And Green Day was there.
Yeah, and Jimmy Eat World, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Eat World was there. They had just released just that amazing album with In the Middle and everything.
I would have loved
Sweetness.
that shit.
Yeah, after that they kind of just disappeared for a couple years, and then they came out with another monster album, and then love them or hate them now. I mean, nowadays they're kind of a shadow of their former selves, but they still have this legacy that everyone remembers. So I think that's really something people gloss over. Everyone loves to make fun of Blink, but they don't realize just how much they paved the way for like that genre to really flourish. And yes, it started out as extremely pop punk, but because you had these pop punk guys at the top, they were, Mark produced the Matches, which were just crazy.
Who was it? The Interrupters recorded in Travis's studio, didn't they?
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, he paved the way. These people, Green Day, Blink, they paved the way for like it being acceptable for these crews to be in like major studios now. So I'm fine with it. Going on to the final album, because we haven't even mentioned who it is yet, but I think that it's a good choice, and it's one that we haven't, we're familiar with, but we don't talk about it a lot, and that's Big D and the Kids Table.
Yeah.
So you're so fucking impressive. Get your name on the fucking guest list, raise your nose to the people in line, give the doorman a fucking high five.
Yeah, the album that came out in '99, what's that one? The one you have the record of?
Good Luck.
Yeah, Good Luck. That was 1999, and that was, it's weird because lately it's had a bigger resurgence, but my album has always been How It Goes. It was the first album I ever heard by them. Yeah. And that it's just it's so weird, right? Like you pop it in. I remember I was at FYE, and they had back in the day. I don't know if they still have them. The CD readers, and you could like listen to like a quick clip.
Yeah. I remember that stuff.
And I remember hearing like the what's your fake heart, your fake fucking bleeding. And I was like, oh, this is really like okay. Let's take another look at ska.
Oh yeah, and it's very ska on the first song.
Man, that guy David McWayne is just such an amazing writer. He really is. His lyrics are insane. He's actually a poet, and he writes like poetry books and shit. But on this album, it's 20 tracks long, by the way. Did you know that?
Yeah, dude.
It's insane.
It's a long ass album, dude. I was like, what the fuck? Fucking LAX, like, honestly, dude, that sounded so much like No Effects to me, but like, I really dig that song, dude. Like, I was about it.
Yeah, so LAX was a big issue when they went into the...
Oh yeah, the label didn't want them doing it, right?
Sure, no, because think about it, man. It's literally like, you know, dropping the word fuck about once every... I mean, it's literally used in every sentence after like the first verse.
Yeah.
And that's the point. I mean, they asked him about, like, you know, why he, you know, makes the music he makes, and he's like, you know, love and music are the last two things you can hold on to as an adult, and he's like, I'm not going to taint that. I'm going to always do exactly what I want to do musically. And he said, like, the label kept telling him, you can't do this, you can't do that, and he'd say, okay, you just go and do it anyway. And in the end, the label couldn't argue with the results. In fact, I think it was the producer who said LAX has to, like, be at the front of the album. People have to know what you're about really early on.
But my friends are fucking awesome.
Yeah, because I did. When I heard that song, I was like, that's the song that put me into the album.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah.
It's a dope song.
Yeah, a lot of, and it's like I said, it's 20 tracks. Some of them blend together, but the ones that stick out really stick out. My personal favorite is, of course, Flashlight. And just because the lyrics are so good, it's 5 minutes and something seconds long, and it feels like that's a little long for like a song that you could like see as a hit, but no, it's really good. Yeah, that and LAX, and of course My Girlfriend's on Drugs.
Yeah.
Which just has the coolest lyrics the whole way through. It's just so much fun. It's like a little story he's telling about his crazy bitch girlfriend who like does drugs and like hanging out at his parents' house, and I'm like, well, you don't bring your drugged up girlfriend to your parents' house, dude, but whatever, hey, you do you.
The like, voicemail that before that song plays too,
yeah,
that shit's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, dude, but like, yeah, then the video is like this white bread family. It's like the whitest, you know, like just, right. Sweater vest wearing. And like this girl's like saying all this shit, and it's just great. And his performance, like he has so much energy. The David guy, man, he just moves constantly.
Right.
All 6 of them do, really, if you think about it. Like,
he just holds a really wide stance.
Yeah, he's like a spider, man. He's just like stretched out,
stretches
all over
the place.
Of course, Going on a Bender, or just Bender. Yeah, that song's fun.
Bender, yeah. Going on a bender this weekend.
I'm gonna get real drunk. I'm not gonna be able to speak, and I'll pass out on my floor.
They said they named the album How It Goes because they spent, you know, their entire career up to that point just, you know, they paid for their tours, they paid for their merch, they just spent all their own money on stuff, could not afford rent, which LAX very much talks about. And just they would just, whenever they'd get frustrated about it, their whole saying was that that's just how it goes, and they would just brush it off, just how it goes. And they said it so much that they said we should just name our first, you know, now we can pay our rent, let's talk about that.
Right.
Let's call this album How It Goes.
Oh man.
And talk about our old days and just how crazy it was to try to just be a band. And it is, man. Yeah, I was really impressed with this album, and it got me into them.
You got to be willing to sacrifice a lot. It's a big sacrifice.
And he has a really good philosophy on the whole thing. You know, he's constantly, you know, he doesn't want to appeal to the gatekeepers. And we talked about this recently with you know, with a couple of like Choking Victim and Skizza guy, and like how he Skizza, and he you know, how they just don't want to do what punks think they should do. They hate it. They hate being told that. Because think about it, dude. The most punk thing you can do is your own damn thing and do things your way.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right?
So when people start saying, "Oh, this isn't punk," it's like, I'm sorry.
The fuck it's not.
But yeah, that album all the way through, 20 tracks. I have a hard time because I zone out when I leave it on because again, it's 20 tracks. That's a commitment. That's a commitment to make it through. But it's good.
It's hard to do though.
Yeah, and
it's complicated.
And for a ska album, I think that's pretty. I've noticed that anytime we talk about ska albums,
I like ska.
They're always long as shit. Punk albums, half the time they're super long.
Yeah, it depends.
Half the time they're regular.
Depends on the like some
ska albums always super long.
Ska is almost always super long. Yeah. But like punk albums, yeah, it's hit or miss. Like.
And then like nowadays we live in a day and age where anyone can record, so like you get people who like put out an album every couple months. You know, I think we're ready to close out. What do you think?
Yeah, we're cool, dude.
All right.
It was a fun one.
It was a fun, and we're finally back. We're finally back.
Yeah, people. Woo! You know, shut the fuck up. We made it. Suck a dick. Peace.
That's right.